Welcome into the CHGO Bears pregame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. It is cold outside. The Bears are playing the best team in football.
I thought that was last week.
Who's ready?
We're doing it again.
Yeah.
It's cold, and the best team in football is on the lakefront. It's not that cold, though. I just got done shoveling. It's really, like, compared to yesterday, it's like a summer day in Chicago compared to yesterday.
Braggs already got his drink. He's ready to go.
Got the brick juice going. A little different brick juice today.
I'm busting out the no bad days hat for you. That's what it says on the side of this bad boy here. No bad days.
We're already
off. Particularly well. There we go. No bad days. I don't care if we're playing the Bills. I don't care if it's 1,000 below. And with all due respect, it's worse in Buffalo. So I don't know about this bear weather thing, but this is my festive no bad days. I've got more.
You do with the backwards hat like that. You look younger. You know.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you. I need that.
Hip. You look with it.
I mean, Woot's background is top notch, even though Hoge is like actually Santa Claus right now. That's the most festive looking Hoge I've ever seen. Look at that dude. Look at that sweater. Look at that Christmas tree. Look at this guy.
I'm ready to go. It's Christmas.
Yep. Yeah, he's ready to go, baby.
Dude's out there lifted up son James, winning Bulls basketball games, and then showed up the next day in his red and white sweater. This is an elite teammate right here.
Well, you're the elite teammate. I hosting Bulls postgame the last couple nights. I turned on CHGO Bulls after that buzzer beater last night. That was awesome.
Yeah, Matt Peck flies down to Texas, and now all of a sudden the Bulls are winning games. So I love Matt, but we might have to keep him down in Texas for the foreseeable future.
Cards 2-0.
Peck was sitting in studio, for the record, on Wednesday night. Was it Wednesday? I think it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there complaining about Zach LaVine after bad play after bad play. And the next thing I know, dude's like, I'm leaving. I got a flight. I think I'm going to get snowed out tomorrow. I got to go. And I'm like, this dude is straight leaving because I'm hanging out here. If there's no way he would have moved his flight unless I had come in there with whatever the juju, which, of course, I guess probably was not true. But he was out the door and they won. And then, Bulls are on a roll. I don't know what that means, but I think Peck's got to be good.
Look, a lot of people have a lot of different reactions hanging out with Carm. Peck
got
on a plane and flew to Texas.
He just left. I'm gone.
I love it personally, but it's a dangerous game.
All right, guys. Well, welcome in. Obviously, we got a full crew for you here today. We are excited. It's Christmas Eve, and regardless of what happens at Soldier Field, and it does look cold, it looks like the wind is really the issue there, and it's feels cold down there by the lakefront. So we are all cozy at home today, going remote so that we can all be with our families at the same time. And I know I'm excited about that. So let's jump in though. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Corey Wootton, Greg Braggs Jr. with you today. And obviously, first of all, we got to hit some news that came out yesterday. Since we previewed this game, since I made a bold prediction that Jalen Johnson would pick off a pass in this game, that's not happening. It is the boldest of all bold predictions because he's on IR. His season is over. The Bears put him on injured reserve yesterday, along with Kindle Vildor. So Bears down 2 cornerbacks. They've been down Kindle for a while now, but Jalen Johnson, obviously, you thought he was going to be mirroring Stephon Diggs the same way he did with A.J. Brown last week, but that ring finger injury that he has, they just decided to shut him down for the rest of the season.
He's just got to cut it off like Ronnie Lott. You don't need that, right? No, but it's probably smart.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if this is a playoff game or, the Bears had any chance to be playing for anything, this is an injury you probably play through, right, Woot? But given the Bears situation, you just say, all right, you're one of our better players. We know you're good. We'll see you next year.
If anybody that is in the plans for next year is a little banged up at this point, you just shut them down for the rest of the season, right? We want guys to go out there that are healthy and can play, but in the scheme of things, you just don't want something to be nagging or something affect him for the rest of his career on a game, like you said, that really doesn't matter. So it's going to be tough sledding out there because Stephon Diggs, he is him. He is him. He said that multiple times when the camera pans into him on the sideline. He's a dynamic playmaker out there. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up for the Bears. And, this could be a situation. Kyler Gordon, one-on-one on him potentially, depending on what they do with the cornerback situation today.
So Justin Fields is healthy, right?
Because
I laughed when you said that, Adam, because it's like, yes, they'll ball out. Hey,
yeah. Hopefully they get a lot of those picks. Three presents, 3 picks.
Hey, Josh Blackwell gets another chance. I'm excited for him to do it. But the reason I bring up the Justin Fields thing is like, I still have some rules, and it's like, okay, if he's 100% fine, I don't necessarily buy that completely with the shoulder. I find it kind of funny that Jalen Johnson can be shut down for the reasoning of it's not worth it, but our franchise quarterback that means literally everything to us. Let's go out there and have him risk it against a patchwork O-line and no receivers.
But throwing shoulder, Jalen Hurts though.
Sure, yeah, and I get it. I'm not like completely pushing off on Justin Fields playing, but then at the end of last game, when he goes to the locker room for cramps, and then you bring him back out and it's a 2-score game at the end of the fourth quarter, like, if something like that happens again today, can we err on the side of caution, or am I just the softest person in Chicago? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're soft.
You're soft,
you're really soft.
And Greg, you better stop it, because he can sit week 18 if he wants, but we got a fantasy championship to win.
Yeah,
we got semis
it's
today.
All for selfish reasons.
We got a championship next week.
Fans crying at me when I bring this up. It's all for selfish reasons. We all want to see the show, number one. And we all want our fantasy championships. That's all this is about. I'm the only one that's worried about Justin Fields' well-being. Everybody else is selfish and just wants to see the show.
I would like to say that I am with Greg Braggs as I'm with my guy Griffin House.
How many hats are you gonna wear?
I got lots of options today. I want to shout out my guy Griffin House because I've been listening to some of his tunes on my Christmas. And
this guy's like a NASCAR driver. He's just switching sponsors like mid thought.
I got two more to come before the end of the show.
Full cap mode here.
I totally get what Woot, you said it, and Braggs followed up on it, and Hoge, you're out there being old school, confident that whatever he'll be fine, and fingers crossed that he is. But I do think it is a fair conversation. Should Fields be playing? At least, and I know he is, and nothing's changing. And I'm watching him warm up, and he wants to get the rushing record, and I hope he does get it. Like
I definitely hope he gets it.
That'll be it'll be an awesome way to end the season, and he gets out of here. And I trust that, we're talking about a left shoulder, and he's not, we're not talking about, he's pushing himself through a knee injury, and he's not going to be able to move down the line. That's not what's going on here. And it's his non-throwing shoulder, all of that. But I do think it is a fair question, and it will be interesting what goes on. Like the last week of the season, are you playing the guy because he's going to get the rushing record? Maybe you are.
I want him to break the record too, but at what cost? Because I'll always point back to I was in the stands when Derrick Rose's fatal moment in the playoffs happened against Philadelphia, and he was going for a triple-double. And I can't play Monday morning quarterback because I wanted him to get the triple-double. We all wanted him to put the statement on Philadelphia, and when it happened, then all of a sudden we're pointing the fingers at Tibbs. So I hate bringing it up, but it's
well, you keep bringing it up
because we started talking about Jalen Johnson being out, and that's okay because it's not worth it, and it just takes me right back to the Justin Fields conversation. I know I'm irritating a lot of Bears fans and here on this show, some of my co-hosts here, but I can't help it. It's an important thing to bring up. He's our
I hear exactly what you're saying, but Justin Fields, I think they over-reported on his shoulder. It was an AC joint sprain. They said there was some ligament damage or something like that. Well, anytime you have a sprain, right? It's like you're stretching the ligaments anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so MCL sprain, any kind of sprain, and it's his non-throwing shoulder. I guarantee you, he's completely fine on his left shoulder right now. There's no issues with it. But I think at first they said, oh, there's some ligaments. And I mean, that is what an AC sprain is. Basically, it's you're stretching the ligaments, and it's his non-throwing shoulder. I think he's completely fine. However, Jalen Johnson, he had a thing where he's probably going to maybe have to get surgery or whatnot, depending on that pinky or whatnot. So you're sitting him out, all that. But Justin Fields, I think the last week, I think you sit him. I think you sit him last week because in a game that really doesn't matter. I understand about wanting to get a record, but like,
and then the other thing is, like last week when he goes to the locker room at the end of the game, that's a full, easy reasoning to say, okay, we'll see you next week.
But it was cramps, though.
I understand that, but
it wasn't like he pulled his
hammy. When he hurt his shoulder, he had dead legs, and that's what led to them chasing him down and catching him. So, like, those little injuries are what can lead to something worse happening. So, if he has cramps at the very end of a game, it's a 2-score game, you bring him back in, he tightens up trying to get to the sideline, all of a sudden he gets blown up. I'm just saying, me, if I'm the coach, I'm erring on the side of caution with my franchise player on the littlest things here at the end of the season. I'm not saying put him in bubble wrap. I just want to be cautious as we are with other players now with guys like that's how I stand with it. And Shay says in the chat, I'm sorry, Mark, but I just want to bring this up. Shay says in the chat, he needs the reps. And this is something Adam Hoge has been preaching to me for weeks. And I get that. But last week, you can't say they really took too much from the passing game. If that's how it looks again today, where he's taking 15 to 20 plus hits, 6 sacks last week, 15 hits, that's not learning anything in the passing game. If they're keeping him clean against Green Bay, I'll shut up. I won't say a word, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm just declaring a moratorium on this. I think it's okay. We've talked it to death. He's playing, and this is not like the U.S. Open, where every match matters, and you've got to be out there and you've got to win it. Today's game means as little as the last game of the year if we're going down that road. Like, today's game means nothing to the Bears.
All right, I'll stop bringing it up.
Moratorium is on.
Yeah,
it's football at the end of the day, right?
Hey, the next time Braggs mentions Derrick Rose's name, it's an automatic mute. I give our permission to our producer.
The Montgomery bag back on my head.
Yes, Joey is producing today. He's in for law, and it's an automatic mute every time you mention Derrick Rose's name from this point forward.
No Krispy Kreme donuts for Braggs. 0 Krispy Kreme.
Bag back on my head.
All right. Let's just do the rest of the show like that. I'd be fine with it. Okay. Let's talk about things that we can, not that we can control, but are actually happening. And let's take a look at today's inactives, which creates a dire. I mean, this is what Fields will be dealing with today, but 2 wide receivers out. Probably the 2 guys you consider the top 2 wideouts available right now with Darnell Mooney on IR. Chase Claypool and Equanimous St. Brown are out. And then the 2 guards, this is the big story of the week, probably that Tevin Jenkins and Cody Whitehair are both out today. Angelo Blackson, an interesting name popping up on inactives. He was not on the injury report this week, so I don't know. The Bears have had a little bit of an illness going around. I don't know if something popped up here in the last couple days with him or if that's just a healthy scratch situation, but that definitely caught my eye from that standpoint, just not having a guy who's, kind of been your starting nose tackle all year, and then Trayvon Wesco and Tim Boyle, we kind of expected that with the inactives. But Corey, what's your reaction to Angelo Blackson being inactive?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that, but I guess you said it's probably like some kind of illness or whatnot. But yeah, he's been a starter since pretty much day one, and an already depleted defensive line. With all the trades and things we've made, the struggles. So it's be interesting to see who steps up today in this place. Especially against Josh Allen and company, because not only what he can do in the passing game, he's pretty dang good runner as well. He's their leading rusher out there. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that nose position today to kind of see there. And then on the other side of the ball, the offensive line, right? Tevin Jenkins and Cody Whitehair not being there. And we had talked about maybe Leatherwood potentially going to one of those guard positions to see what he can do, right? Riley Reef at the right tackle. Let's put Leatherwood inside at one of the guards, and Schofield potentially. He's kind of struggled a little bit at the guard position. So it's going to be a tough one today. The only thing is Buffalo does not scare me that much defensively with their front 7, right? That's the one good part. We go from having one of the best defensive lines to an okay defensive line this week. I think they play good as a unit together, but they're not really that dominant up front. Epinesa, I think, is their leading sacker with 5.5. He's looked good at times, but nothing compared to what we saw last week.
We got to give a shout out to Rob's wife's grandma who's listening to the show right now. Grandma,
What's up, Grams?
Grandma Rob, wife, whatever. You're. This is the best thing that could ever happen to you on a Christmas Eve. So welcome. Woot, along those lines, what do you think about Larry Borum getting a shot in there over? I guess it's going to be over Leatherwood. It seems like they might be just punting on Leatherwood if they're not going to let him play, right? I mean, at this point.
Yeah, I think you got to play both of those guys inside and see what they can do, especially with that opening up this week. I think guard is a lot easier position for a lot of people because the footwork that you have to have at tackle is a lot different. You know, you looked at Leatherwood; he just seemed very uncomfortable against the speed rushes, but he seemed really good in the run game. So that's what makes me think, hey, moving him inside, potentially Borum as well, and just see what they can do. These last couple of weeks are about evaluation. And sometimes somebody's not a fitted tackle. You slide him in the guard, and then all of a sudden, same thing with Tevin Jenkins, right? Oh, he's not a left tackle. Let's move him to guard. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level. So you never know what you can find by just simply moving a guy. Like when I played, Henry Melton came as a defensive end, right? Rod Marinelli shifted him to D tackle. It was probably the best fit for him. He played at a Pro Bowl level. And if he didn't tear his ACL, who knows what he could have been in the league. But sometimes you just got to think outside the box, shifting a guy and seeing what they can do.
You know, I have to say, if this season ends without Alex Leatherwood playing a snap at guard, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Agreed.
Because I thought when they claimed him off of waivers at the beginning of the season, I thought the mistake the Raiders made with him was trying to force him into playing tackle. And I thought that even when they drafted him, I thought I kind of had him pegged as being a good guard and not. I was a little bit more risky, I thought, playing him at tackle. And so when the Bears made that move, I know they were saying, hey, we're going to work him out at both and see what ends up happening. But to me, I always thought that it made more sense for him to eventually be the guard. Now, those are probably the two spots on the O-line that have been most consistent this season, right? So he's sort of been blocked there. But now you have both starting guards out, and they played him last week at tackle, and it didn't go well. I'll just be very disappointed if we go through this whole season, and I know a lot of different things popped up, and him dealing with mono, you can't control that, but that would be disappointing to me.
Well, Alex Leatherwood's sophomore season at Alabama, he played right guard before he was moved back to left tackle. So he knows the position. You know, I get it's different once you get to the NFL level. I mean, personally, if Tevin Jenkins theoretically was your right guard going into next year, I'd almost rather him see him play left guard to see if we can fill another hole before the offseason comes around. I think maybe we don't have enough games to actually prove that, but at least put him in the ring of the competition for that spot, not really knowing what Tevin Jenkins' future yet is. But he's shown he can play guard in college, so why not give him the shot right now? It makes no sense to me if they don't play him.
Well, and this unfortunately takes us back slightly into the conversation we're having before, and their number one goal is to make sure they keep the quarterback safe. So it gives you less flexibility when you're playing Fields right now, because you obviously, I mean, that's if we're going to do experimenting, it's and I'm all for it, but I get the Bears mindset around it. Like, yeah, I would like to see that, but I'm not going to want to see that over the health of number one.
Right, because people bring up Dieter Eisland, try him out at center, or bring up Jatir Carter at left guard. But as you mentioned, those guys are third, fourth string. They'd be a fourth string on other teams, and that's reckless to put guys like that in front of your franchise, a la when they put Justin Fields in the second half of a preseason game with a bunch of guys that didn't make the team last year.
The other side of it, though, is if Alex Leatherwood can't be better as a former number one draft pick at guard, which he played in college, which you underline, Braggs, than Michael Schofield at this point, then what was the point of bringing him here? Your talent evaluation's got to be a little bit better than that.
Yeah, and let's not forget, like, they claimed his contract too.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
it's felt strongly about him.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, but you know, it's always worrisome when a team, instead of saying, all right, it didn't work at tackle, let's play him at guard this year, the Raiders were like, no, we're good. we're cutting you after 1 year. Like that's a pretty extreme warning sign. And yet the Bears were like, oh, we're going to claim that contract. We're going to see if you can work this out. And so after doing so, it's just like, you're not even we'll see. There's still time. Maybe he does get some snaps at guard, but it's been a weird year.
It is kind of weird though, that like first round pick and you're done with him. So it makes me kind of think of maybe his work ethic, because that's the only thing I can see. Because usually most of the time, if you're drafted in the first 3 rounds, they'll give you the benefit of the doubt for at least probably 2 years, right? Like if you're working hard, you're making a consistent effort, you're working with the coaches. So it made me seem like maybe, I don't know, maybe they questioned his work ethic, because the Raiders, they're usually from the beginning of time, they've overdrafted people based on size and measurables. And Leatherwood is a big dude, you know what I mean? Like, so kind of makes me think that maybe they overreached a little bit picking him where they did. So I guess we'll see how this unfolds, but you got to give him reps inside just to see what he can do. And like Carm, like you said, I think he can do better than Schofield. He's a big, strong guy, and you get in guard, it's a lot more phone booth, right? It's old school, you could jump people, you could use your hands a little bit better. Going against a guy like Reddick, where he's basically, running a 40-yard dash to the point, is a different game.
Yeah, that's another good underlining. Look, he was playing an elite player last week, and he was clearly completely overmatched. So if he looks like, put him out there, and if he looks like that again, all right, you're done. That's it. That was the last shot at it. But on some level, too, do we not trust the Bears coaches to make this evaluation? And if the worst thing that happens is that they took a swing on someone and paid him money, but like, yeah, okay, we thought you had talent, but you didn't. We're not going to compound the mistake by playing you and getting our quarterback killed. Like, okay, I would get that too.
Maybe slide the protections, and to help him out, slide the center towards him, things like that to kind of mask if you're a little nervous early on. And then all of a sudden, if you feel comfortable with him, then you can do your normal protections and whatnot. So things like that they can do during the game plan.
Well, Nick is at Soldier Field and keeping an eye on the pregame online combination. So we will update you on that as soon as that starts to come out. It should be here soon. You think they're out at warm-ups here pretty quickly. So, but first, got to tell you about our friends at Shady Rays, because they never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, and they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall, because Shady Rays has you covered with premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone in every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays is they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Drop them in a lake, which would be hard to do right now. The lakes are probably frozen. But, maybe if you're ice fishing, and you guys ice fish, I think ice fishing sounds like the worst thing in the world.
Ice anything, unless it's in a glass.
I'm with you. Amen. But, however you might break or lose your sunglasses, and that's the cool part. If you just lose them, it doesn't matter. They'll still send you a new one, no questions asked. And even with that strong of a protection program, Shady Rays still manages to make quality that we can all tell you from our pairs of Shady Rays are just as good as any expensive pair that we've had. And Shady Rays customers agree, with over 200,000 5-star reviews. They also donate 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed. They've donated over 20 million meals to date. So here's what you're going to do. Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. You use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. Buy one, get one free. You'll get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
Benny G calling you out, Hoge. What kind of curler are you? And head of content, Kevin Kadek, says ice fishing is awesome.
Okay.
Happy birthday to Kev, by the way.
Couple things there. Curling is indoors. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can do it outside, but real curling is done indoors. You're not, and believe it or not, you are way more active than you might think it is. It takes flexibility, and you legitimately work up a sweat with all that sweeping. Okay. Ice fishing, you sit there and basically do nothing and drink.
Have you done it?
That sounds. Wait a minute. Time out. This sounds way better now that you're pitching it.
I've done ice fishing. It's miserable. Now, I didn't have these huts that people have. People literally bring these trailers out there now that can like squat down right on the ice, and they're basically inside fishing.
I just think of grumpy old men when I think of ice fishing.
I want to know if Woot would rather ice fish and or play in this weather after I tell you about the great ComEd people who, the energy efficiency program is one of my favorite things that we do at CHGO, along with ComEd, helping families and businesses and their communities save money and energy. Let's make the world a better place. Let's save you money. Come on now. ComEd offering free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, industrial processes. Not sure what that is, but I think it's very important. You get the point. ComEd's going to come out with an authorized engineer, and they're going to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. So call them up, 855-433-2700. Do that during normal business hours during the week. Don't call them now. Or you can email them, Hoge Business EE. Thank you, at ComEd.com. Business EE at ComEd.com. Or check it out on the web, ComEd.com/poweringbiz. Get yourself the facility assessment. You're going to save yourself some money, save some energy. Thank you to our friends at ComEd. I know we're going to hear from Will and Nick, but I am curious, Woot, like ice fishing, playing in this weather. DJ Metcalf is running around in Kansas City with no shirt on. I'm assuming he's Vaselined up. Y'all are crazy people. Yes, Hoge? Am I jumping ahead here?
Yeah, you are a little bit. We got a couple of videos to show to set up the cold weather. These are things that happen in a program we use. It's called Slack that Carm's never in. So otherwise he would be up to date on
this. There's a show rundown on Notion.
I've seen the videos. I've seen them. Okay, let's go.
All right, yeah. Nick shared this video of a couple tailgaters going on. Is that the one? Yeah, we're gonna start with this one.
Why are you here, man?
Bears fan. Oh, yeah.
And the weather, we just knew you were going to be here no matter what.
Two things. One, I'm fat. Two, I was born and raised. So that don't bother me.
Gotcha. I see you guys have that.
That is a tradition every year.
Okay. So, how did that kind of come about?
Where can we cut the tree? 10 years ago? About 10 years ago. Used to work at a Harley dealer in Naperville. Now I run the one in Sherwood. Conrad, check it out. And we had a Christmas tree guy parked next to us and sold trees. He'd always save me the saddest tree. So, Charlie Brown tree it is.
Hey,
give us some glory.
It looks good.
All right, yeah. I heard that a lot of the outdoor parking lots today were pretty much empty, which I don't blame people for. So shout out to Joe, not only tailgating out there, but also repping with the Christmas tree. You know, Joe's probably, to me, seems like a guy who'd probably be ice fishing.
100%. Yeah,
that ain't me, man.
Cold doesn't affect him. You know, there's some guys that are really tough. You know, the bricklayers, not so much. They've gotten soft as of recent years.
I'll tell you what. Well, I got my boys that I've been tailgating with for 20 plus years now. They were out there at 4:35 in the morning today. My buddy, 100%. Matt Mahalski, sweet and sour. Ken, you know Ken, we took a picture with him with his shirt off. His dad, Ken. They were out there 4:35 in the morning. So we still got, some hardcore tailgaters. If we
where are you? We didn't have the show till 11.
Yeah,
why are you not there?
I could have went out there at 5 a.m. That's true.
I could have, but I just like my heat better.
I've gotten soft. I've gotten soft now that I've gone corporate, as my buddy Justin would say. But no, when we moved to Arlington Heights, we're still going to be tailgating outside. So, we may be inside for the game, but tailgating conditions aren't going to change.
No, there was another. Heights, man. No. I don't like it.
Oh, you're on Adam's. You're on Mark's side.
By the way, and we'll shout out our friends at Game Time Tickets. We are down to 2 tickets together up top right now with fees and all is $24.
Wow.
So 24, so 12 a seat. Game Time Tickets, by the way. Extra shout out to them. Love them.
They're giving them away today.
Giving them away. Which, by the way, did you see Braggs' video of him shoveling with no hat? I don't even know if he was wearing gloves.
No gloves, no hat.
No.
You didn't need it. The sun's out. It's beautiful. There's no wind. Sun's out. It's a beautiful day.
Did not see that. Think it's crazy. I saw was was it Monday night in Green Bay? Like, I didn't understand how Sean McVay didn't even have a hat on. I'm like, are you nuts?
Can I say
Your
this?
ears don't get cold?
With all due respect to our great teammate in his Bear Santa hat, are you a complete idiot? No gloves, no hat, it's 0 degrees.
It is nice outside, Mark. I'm telling you.
See, he's like DK Metcalf and all these guys in the pre-games that take their shirts off for the camera. That's what he did it for.
We all want to joke, but there's only one of us on this panel that goes out and hits them bricks every day in the cold. I work out in this, so you
wear gloves with the bricks, man. Get out of here! You talking about?
I don't. I'm telling you, I do not wear gloves unless it's.
He said off camera when he was sipping brick juice.
I'm telling you,
gloves.
All right,
when
whatever.
It gets under 30.
You know what? One day, Corey, I'm gonna have you come out on the job. You'd be a good bricklayer. You got the big bricklayer hands. You'd be a good bricklayer. But I'll show you what's up one day.
All right, I want to show you
how a real man does it. Right?
That's right.
I want to show you this other video that was on Twitter. I think Jake Flanagan saw this.
Yeah, this is good.
Someone has a frozen Walter Payton jersey out there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's nice out, right, Greg?
So what? I mean, so
nice
basically,
out.
what he does is he soaks that in water,
and
then takes it outside to get it to do that, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah. So, Corey, coldest game you ever played in?
By far, you probably noticed the 2013 game against the Cowboys. Man, it was like minus 13, I believe, with the wind chill, with everything. It was unbelievable. That was the coldest game by far. I had one of those plays where the tight end comes across Jason Witten, and me and him meet each other. And we hit. And he was just like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "It's cold as fucking." I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Good stuff, man." He's like, "Let's not do too much the rest of this game."
Yeah,
he's trying to brother-in-law.
They honored Ditka at halftime of that game, and the thing that I remember most about that game was the Bears didn't punt with Josh McCown. We scored on every drive that entire game. It was one of the best offensive performances I've ever seen by the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, it was a great day. Josh McCown, so underrated.
Alshon Jeffrey in the corner.
Yeah, it was a great game. Brandon Marshall, I remember he had a block on Sean Lee where he completely depleted him. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was down, he was hurt. Brandon Marshall, man, as a blocking wide receiver.
Oh yeah,
man, he was almost like a tight end, about 6'4" and a half, 6'5", about 240, and strong too. So a lot of those linebackers, they used to hate when he down block on him because he'd come through and crack them.
I don't want to put you in an awkward position, but did you like playing with Brandon?
I did. I liked him a lot because before he came in, I had a lot of preconceived notions about him. Like, how is this guy going to be? You see him throwing the ball in training camp, and you hear about all the stuff. He just got an incident in New York City about some kind of club thing with his wife and all that. And you kind of just didn't know what to expect. But when he came to the team, I mean, he was a first-class teammate. I mean, I really liked him. And, he worked. There wasn't any of that extra stuff. So I feel like he had his mental issues figured out. I feel like he got everything under control, which sometimes people need that. And I think that's kind of what he needed. And since then, it seems like he's been in the right headspace. He's been doing good things.
If I remember right, he cost a 3rd-round pick. Chase Claypool cost a 2nd.
A lot of the Bears media, some liked him, some didn't. Whenever I went out there, I always enjoyed Brandon. I was there the day that he was doing something around mental health, and he handed out ties to everybody. Were you there that day, Ho? He gave out green ties, and I'm like, this dude, I'm not sure what the problem is because he seems, first class to me. I enjoyed Brandon. I know it was never perfect.
It's crazy to think like, somebody like Antonio Brown, like, there's probably something there mentally, that needs to get corrected. So that could be a situation that sucks that his career had to end the way it did because he's arguably one of the greatest receivers ever played. So hopefully in the future, there'll be more. The NFL is trying to make a big impact on mental health for guys and trying to give even former players the resources. But I think they still need to continue to do more because even when guys retire, a lot of guys have issues with that transition and mentally and things of that nature.
Well, it was interesting that Matt Eberflus also named that same game as the coldest game he had been a part of because he was on the Cowboys coaching staff.
That's right.
And said he couldn't feel his toes or feet by the end of the game. That definitely was a cold one. That was the Mike Ditka retirement. They retired his number in that game.
Yep.
He also, like Greg Braggs, did not have a hat on at halftime as he screamed to "Go Bears" into the mic. And
his nose looked like it was about to freeze off.
Yes.
I was at the coldest recorded game in Soldier Field history. I don't know if that's going to get topped today, but that was 2008 against the Packers on primetime at night. It was like 2008, just like it was the anniversary like yesterday or the day before. And the beer would freeze in your cup like 5 minutes within holding it. If you bought any kind of hot food, it would freeze immediately. So it was a waste of money to buy. Alex Brown blocked a field goal to send it to overtime. And then Robbie Gould kicked the game winner. And it was Aaron Rodgers' first ever start at Soldier Field. And at the time we were like, who's this bum? So that was, I actually convinced my wife, my now wife at the time we were dating. And I said on Twitter, I was like, that was the day I knew I would marry her.
And she went
No,
to the
I
game
mean, I
and
knew
toughed
before
it out.
that, but she's tough. She's as tough as nails.
Hey,
Probably tougher than me.
Woot, since a couple people are asking in the comments, I know this doesn't have to do with today's game, but I am curious. Why did you guys love Josh McCown so much? Because I'll give Carm credit. Carm was in a small minority of people that in 2013 was screaming the Bears should keep Josh McCown, not Jay Cutler. And I was definitely on the other end of that saying, no, Cuddy's so much more talented. You can't bail on Cutler. And then of course, Phil Emery ended up giving Cutler that massive extension and Josh McCown moved on. But why did you guys like Josh McCown so much?
His leadership, right? Like Jay Cutler had all the talent in the world. You could pick his best throws and he can go toe to toe with Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or any of those guys. But I think the leadership is what really separated Josh McCown from Jay Cutler, because he's a guy like when the game's on the line, you respect him. He's that ultimate leader. He's going to get everybody ready to go. And in the games he played when Cutler got hurt, I think just everybody, his personality was infectious. Everybody fed off it. And that's what everybody wants to see. Like that was the main thing about Cutler. They're like, he has all the talent. He has this, but he's just not a natural born leader. And that was his personality. Like he was going to be who he is. But Josh McCown, he's that guy that if he had Jay Cutler's talent, he would be one of the best in the league because he has everything that you need from a leader out there. And guys really bought into him. And that's why you saw in the games he played, we played well. We feel like everybody wanted to play for him. So that's why Josh McCown, one of the best guys I ever played with and super talented. I feel like people really sleep on his skills. And he kind of was that guy that knew exactly what he needed to do. He wasn't going to try to go above and beyond and try to do something outside his game. He always stick within his game.
When he had talent around him too, so he didn't have to be all world like Justin has to be right now. I had my thing was twofold. Like one, the Bears looked so much better with him out there, and two, Cutler just was driving me nuts. So it was like, and it was obvious too. I thought that like the players were gravitating towards him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like everybody wants that. Like that was my main thing. Like if I'm a GM of a franchise, like I love what Jay Cutler can do as a passer, right? I see some of the really good things. You're like, wow, he has everything. But if I'm making a decision about the future of my franchise, I would pass on him because I want my quarterback to be a leader. That's really what I want. I want a guy that maybe is not as talented as him, but can limit the turnovers and really be a leader over there that would be the future of our franchise. For me personally, I don't know how do you guys feel about that as far as the future of your.
I was never. I liked Jay the first couple of years, and then after that, at watching him at practice, at training camp, and seeing enough of him, I started to really sour on him at the back end of his career. And anybody knows this that knows that about me. I've never been the biggest Jay Cutler fan nowadays. He got 3 contracts with the Bears and brought Brandon here. When everything fell apart, I didn't think he held the locker room together as much as he should have, as a guy that should have been the top leader in that locker room. So. I was never and the biggest thing I'll say is Devin Hester, who is my favorite Chicago Bear of all time, a guy that when he broke the record in Minnesota, when you played there, was crying to the media about how much he loved playing with his teammates. He was never a big Jay Cutler guy. And I'm going to choose whose word I'm going to go by. It's the future Hall of Famer, Devin Hester's. But, Jay was very talented. There's no question. So I don't want to turn this into a Jay Cutler bashing, because I could go all day about bashing old Jay. But he was fine.
Yeah, I think it's a good lesson learned in some ways that I've now kind of adopted ever since then, because Josh was nothing but professional and awesome to cover, and it seems like he may have an opportunity to coach in the NFL if he really wants to, because the Texans have been sniffing around about that. I wouldn't be surprised if other teams do as well. I will say this, I think what I feel like I've learned is if you don't have that top tier quarterback,
Aaron Rodgers,
then I'd rather have, and who kind of gives me Josh McCown vibes, which I'm sort of taking a leap on because I don't know him personally and haven't covered him personally. But Taylor Heineke sort of is starting to remind me of Josh McCown. Just the shift of them. I think that parallel in Washington this year is really a close comparison to Josh, to what happened in Chicago with Jay Cutler, because clearly whatever Carson Wentz has in talent, and he may even be a nice guy, but there's something missing there with the leadership, because you now have multiple teams that couldn't wait to get rid of him, and it didn't take long this year for Washington to want to bench him. And those guys, ever since Heineke's come in there, have just played at a different level, even though I don't think anyone's ever going to say that he's more talented than Carson Wentz, but it's just how that whole offense is moving. And they're still not great, but I'd rather have that if I don't have a top-tier quarterback than kind of constantly shuffling through these guys that supposedly have all the talent in the world, but they can't lead you. Does that make sense, Woot?
Yeah, I think the same thing could be said about coaches, right? There's some coaches that really get the best out of everybody. I use that example all the time. The 2012 team we had with Lovey and Rod Marinelli, and then basically 2013 with Tressman and Mel Tucker, basically keeping the defense exactly the same. And we go from top 5 to dead last in every category, right? And I think the effect of Lovey and Marinelli, everybody wanted to run through a wall for them. I didn't feel like we felt the same for Tressman and Mel Tucker, and that's no disrespect to them. I think it's just different. Guys, coaches get the best out of their players. That you see the best coaches in the league. They have their guys playing at a high level. The coaches that people really don't buy in, you could tell by their effort, by everything that goes into it in the games. And it's been cool to see Taylor Heineke, because I agree with you. They definitely play different when he's in there. It just seems like that locker room is reinvigorated and they're ready to go. The defense is stepping up in situations. And I feel like the leadership, if I'm evaluating, that's number one for me. Obviously, quarterback's got to be talented and make throws and whatnot. But the leadership, I think, is going to take a team far. And you look at the best teams right now, all their quarterbacks are leaders that people buy into. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, guys like that. They really are buying into them, and they're playing for them.
Well, and I walked around the Bears locker room this week and just asked guys what they appreciate most about Justin Fields. And I said most. So nobody said his passing, which some Bears fans, in the social media world are like, yeah, I wish he would have said passing. I don't know why this light keeps on turning off. It's driving me nuts. But the point is that the leadership came up. Kyler Gordon mentioned it. It was out there. And I think that's a huge thing for Justin going forward, not just the talent.
No, I completely agree. We've got the best of both worlds with Justin Fields. And I think he's really taken ownership of that leadership role this year. You could even see that in training camp with the way, last year, he's kind of just, feeling his way into the team, knowing he wasn't QB1. This year, when he came into camp, you could see it with the way, if there was a misfire, he would immediately run up to that wide receiver and talk to him after the play. You see those leadership intangibles, some of the, when they're mic'd up and stuff, and some of the things he says in the huddle and things of that nature. You're seeing that now with Justin Fields, and he has this incredible talent that not only his teammates acknowledge, but guys like Darius Slay on other teams are acknowledging. So we certainly have the best of both worlds. And to Corey's point about coaching also being a big thing, I think that's why that's a huge testament to what Matt Eberflus is doing here. I don't think you'll see a drop in effort today, regardless of Jalen Johnson being out, Cody Whitehair and Tevin Jenkins being out. Josh Blackwell and all these guys that are lining up on the offensive line. I think you'll see the effort there. Now, whether or not they can execute, because of their talent level is a different story, but the effort has been there all year. And I think that's a testament to Matt Eberflus and company.
All right, well, we do have an update on the offensive line. Nicholas Moriano, who's out there at Soldier Field, tweeting earlier some pictures of the what the offensive line combination look like. And it appears that your left tackle is Braxton Jones, which we knew. Your left guard, Larry Borum. It looks like he will get the start. And then Sam Mustipher at center. Obviously, Michael Schofield staying in there at right guard, and Riley Reef at right tackle. So at least on the right side, they're trying to keep things veteran oriented. Probably, you can rely, like Sam Mustipher, Schofield, and Riley Reef might not be the most talented guys out there at this point, but they're veterans that you're going to know are going to know the assignments at least. It'll be interesting on that left side. Corey, what's your reaction? What would you think if you're a defensive lineman seeing a guy who I'm not surprised Borum's getting a chance at guard. I'm a little surprised that it's on the left side since he's mainly played right tackle. However, he did get experience at left tackle last year too. So he showed an ability last year to switch from left to right, not really have much of an issue with it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see about his strength, because that's one area that I think I'm not really too sold on his strength. Right? I know Leatherwood is strong. I saw what he did in the running game. So I guess we'll see how Borum adjusts to inside guys being stronger. Because I thought at times he struggled with a little bit of power at that right tackle. So I think it's I want to see what he can do, right? Because obviously they've been high on him. They wanted him to play early on. But I want to see Leatherwood sprinkled in there, maybe at both of the guard positions at times, just to see what he can do. And Ryan Poles, right? You're this offensive line guru, evaluation. Come on, let's evaluate Alex Leatherwood. We took over his contract. There's a lot of money at stake. Let's put him in there and see what he can do at this point, right? And I didn't understand why Riley Reef wasn't playing right tackle from the beginning of the season. He's a guy that I think is fine. Like, people get into the whole age thing. I understand they wanted to see Larry Borum, what he can do. My thing is Riley Reef's a proven guy in this league. I've played against him. He's solid. At right tackle, he's very solid. And he gives Justin Fields the best chance and the Bears the best chance since week 1, but they didn't play him like that.
Reef is also super motivated to squeeze whatever he's got left in the Riley Reef lemon, if you will. Like, he is really appreciating his time on the football field. This is not a guy that's mailing it in. And I think what we're seeing there is the safest option that the Bears have to protect Justin Fields. This is the low risk. We know what we're going to get on the right side with these two vets. We know what we're getting at center. Braxton's obviously not going anywhere. So who's our best option at left guard? And they decided it was Borum.
All right, we got to keep things moving here because we're running out of time for kickoff. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is our go-to when betting on the NFL this holiday season. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out right now. Everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. We're about to give you our props for this game coming up. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use code CHGO. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
And shout out to our friends, as I mentioned earlier, at Game Time, the Game Time ticket app. If you went right now, as I said, 2 tickets for $24 if you're in the neighborhood or just want to get there for the second half and say you were there at one of the coldest games in Bears history. Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site. It makes it easier than ever. Best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. You want to go down to the 50-yard line today, or even the ultimate move I thought was you get one of those club seats for way less than you could ever get them. So you're indoors and you get to watch the Bears. But bottom line, when you're looking for tickets at any time, download that Game Time ticket app. 15 million people have done it. There is no better price on the secondary market. Also, by the way, if you love CHGO, the best way to support us, buy your tickets through the link in the description. That is a huge move for both us and for Game Time. We appreciate it.
All right, let's get to our prop bets brought to you by DraftKings. And got some fun ones for you today. I am going with Justin Fields over the 74.5 rushing yards. He's been hitting this consistently, usually by, before halftime a lot of the times. And this one's a little bit higher this week, but I do think with the weather, the wind, and even with Khalil Herbert coming back, that record dangling out in front of Justin Fields, I think he's going to take the yards when he can, and I think he hits the over on that one. Carm, what are you going with? No Carm. Carm has left the building.
He's speechless.
Woot, how about you go?
I'm going to go with Justin Fields over 137.5 passing yards. I feel good about this game because they don't have Von Miller out there. He's out for the season. He's their most talented pass rusher. So I feel better about us going against arguably the best defensive line in the game to a little bit of a drop-off with the Bills this week. They don't have anybody that I'm really scared of. So I feel like Justin Fields is going to go over that in the elements. Leadership. We got our leader in Chicago, Justin Fields, baby.
Yeah, sorry, guys, but I wanted to get my buckle down because
priorities.
Khalil Herbert is going to buckle down today. At 26.5 yards, I feel like they're giving that away. Minus 130. Come on. We're going to run the ball all day today. Herbert and Montgomery. I would take the over on any of the rushing candidates. Fields is 74.5, but Herbert at 26.5. That feels the most safe to me. And by the way, I love my new whatever you call it.
Your caricature.
My caricature. Thank you.
I finally got one too.
Yeah.
This is a big time upgrade for me. So thank you to everybody in all city land for getting that done. I believe it was Eric who beat us all in ping pong, and I'm still bothered by that. But thank you for getting that graphic done. I feel complete.
Braggs, what are you going with?
Yeah, I found a unique prop bet, and it seemed like easy money to me because it said field goal attempt, not even field goal made, was plus 475 for the Bears on their first drive of the game. And the Bears have done fairly well on their first drives to start this whole season. So, as the game goes on and we get into the fourth quarter is when we seem to have our struggles. But when we come out the gates, we seem to move the ball down the field fairly consistently, and defenses are trying to adjust to what we're trying to do, and Justin Fields getting out of the pocket. So, to me, field goal attempt and not even needing it to go in, depending on, the distance on the field goal, I like that one, plus 475, and I always throw out the Kari Blasen game is plus 2,200 for an anytime touchdown.
I got to get you one of those by the end of the year. All right, let's get to our predictions. Now, we are obviously all going with the Bills. I think the question is, who has the Bears covering? I don't this week. I think the Bills win by 10, 30-20. The spread is at 8 right now. Bears plus 8 at home. Carm?
I don't have them covering, but at least when I made that prediction, but that was before the Jalen Johnson thing came out. If I was betting right now, I would absolutely bet the Bills. I think this is an extreme – I think there might be just a little bit of juice on the Bears always cover. That's not going to hit today.
I think they cover, man. I got them today. The Bears play well against good teams. Look at this season. Miami, Philly, take them down the wire. They played the Patriots really well with the win. So I think this is a close game. Obviously, I think Buffalo gets the best of it. Josh Allen drives down the last drive, scores. But I think this is a tight one. Never count the Bears out, man. Eberflus has had them playing solid all year as a team, and that's a really good mark of the coaching staff right there. They don't have all the talent on the roster, but they're consistently in a lot of games for a team that arguably has one of the worst rosters in football.
And I'll go last. I mean, we all took the Bills, so everybody took the Bills. I have actually a 2-game lead on our entire CHGO Bears team.
How's bragging camp going?
Hey, my last name's Bragg, so I got to live by my name, Adam Hoge. So that clinches that I will at least tie for the top spot in prediction on the Bears this season. So a lot of smart analysts on our team, a former player, but the meatball is rising to the top here. The Bills are used to playing in this weather. So, to me, while last week it looked like Jalen Hurts looked like he was not comfortable at all playing at Soldier Field, and he said as much in the postgame show. He was talking about how his hands were numb even to start the game. I don't think the Bills are going to have any problem playing in this weather today. So I think they'll go up and down the field on us, especially now with Jalen Johnson out, who battled his ass off last week against A.J. Brown. We don't have that. Depth is a concern just across the board. Depth on the offensive line. Guys get nicked up during the game, and now you have even less depth to rely on. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse, and the Bills are fighting for that number 1 spot in the AFC. I see them, really taking care of business to the Bears today.
All right, we're going to end the show with this. It's a very important question, but Kevin Kada sent us a photo of him supposedly ice fishing. I don't see much fishing going on
like
here.
Beer pong.
Also, based on the
there's fish in those cups.
Those Bud Light and Miller Lite cans look like they're at least 10 years old.
That's true too.
And is he wearing a Notre Dame jacket? A lot of questions I have here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's cheating. He's
right.
Way.
Is he wearing one of those winter hats with a brim? Oh,
you
man.
can't lean that far over when you're throwing beer.
Elbow rule. Come on. You went to Wisconsin, Kevin. You should know the elbow rule. Those throw you out on the ice at the University of Wisconsin if you cross the elbow rule. Come on. What are we doing here? Does that look fun to you guys?
Sure. I mean, for one time, it's fun. Would I do it all the time?
I'm thinking that weather wasn't that bad, right? Because it was probably like 34. Wasn't negative or 0. So yeah, he was. They were nice.
Is that
and
a
cold
Notre Dame jacket too?
He said in the comments that he had to borrow the jacket from his cousin. I just don't see much fishing going on there. But I mean, it looks like a fun tailgate. That's funny.
Is that Eberflus?
That is Flus.
It doesn't look like Eberflus for some reason.
All right, guys. Well, it was almost kickoff. We got to go watch the game. We'll be right back here post game. Obviously, as soon as the game is over, make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. Hit that notification button so you know when we go live, when the game is over. And Christmas Eve or not, we are going to be here breaking that thing down as soon as it is over. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at the Carm, at Corey Wootton, at G Braggs Jr. 23. We'll have a bunch of tweets going on there throughout the game, and follow Nick at the game as well. Nicholas Moriano with all his cold Soldier Field tweets that have already been all over Twitter and will continue to be throughout the game. Enjoy it. Have fun watching it. Hopefully everybody's spending some good time with their family today as well. We will talk to you post game. See ya.